Finding real gold at your local thrift store is honestly something you can still do if you think outside the box. I'm going to show you something that doesn't have just a little bit of gold in it, but has hundreds of dollars worth of gold in it that we got for almost nothing and that everybody else missed because of a very important reason. Hey, it's Don. Today we're going to talk about finding real gold, and not just real gold, but actual, real, authentic diamonds. Not lab created, but the genuine, real deal out at thrift stores. Now, what I'm going to discuss and show you today doesn't just have to do with thrift stores, but it has to do with anywhere you go. And the items I'm going to show you today, you can find at all of the places you already are going to, but for one very good reason, you probably didn't even pay attention to it. Now, we rarely go to thrift stores. There are a few, though, that we do go by when we're doing other business. So there are some that we get to more often just because we're next door, or it's right there. There's a few local ones that are still okay some of the time. You know, it's maybe 20% chance at best that you'll find something even worth buying there. But still, it only takes a couple minutes. I'm right there, so I do go by places. Now, here's a boxed pen set. And I know someone's going to cry out right away that it says 10 karat gold filled on these. So no, these are not real gold. And I'm not stating at all that these pens themselves are real gold. But I'll show you some real gold right here in just 1 second. These are the real deal, though. There are some real gold and real diamonds with these pens for a very good reason. If all you see are cross pens in this box, you're missing a huge, massive area of collectibles that can be found across broad spectrums, not having anything to do with the pens themselves. Now, these are original, they're authentic, they're cross pens, they're marked 14 karat gold filled. I think it's 1/10 or 1/20th gold filled on these. So they're really gold filled. They work, they're nice. I got them for 10 bucks. I actually have credit. We had a loyalty program at this thrift store, so we had $15 credit. So at the end of the day, I used that. I didn't pay for $15 worth of purchase, whether it was this or something else. Basically, I have nothing into this at that price. Now, what's also interesting is these were donated by a local reselling shop. Couldn't sell it, I guess, and they were repriced there. This is original. It has the, paperwork, all the other stuff with it. Again, they're gold filled. That's 100% true. But what you're missing, and the fact that these aren't just pens is the biggest matter there. And if I hold these up, what you're going to see is a little logo right there on both of these pens. Well, one's a pen and one's a pencil, but that's the point, that there's a little piece attached. These do not belong on these pens, technically. This cross pen set was made without those. Now, what are those? What's the big deal about those? Those are what's called service awards. And a service award, these exact same little emblems that you see attached here can be attached to rings, buckles, tie tacks, earrings, lapel pins, hat pins. Geez, there's just so many things that they can be attached to, pendants and things, but it's the exact same thing you see here. Not one nearly like it or anything. These exact pieces are attached to other items. And if you took a loupe to these, and you knew enough about these, what you'd realize looking at the loupe is that I can actually see 14 and then the top part of a K. And it's not gold filled, it's literally gold. So what these are service awards for working at this company for many years. And they're both 14 karat gold. Not only are they 14 karat gold, they're marked on the back. On the back here, if you look back here, you can actually see the 14. I don't know how it's going to show up on a camera because I had to get a loupe out. I have a very bright loupe. It has a light built in. I'll put a link down if you're interested in some of my loupes that we use. But with that loupe, I'm easily able to tell that that's gold. 14 karat, authentic, the real deal. Not only that, the main centerpiece is white gold 14 karat. This one has that same emblem, but another section around it that's 14 karat yellow gold. I also had a friend who does gem buying and selling in gold and jewelry and things, and he brought over a tester for the stones in here. These are actual diamonds. They're not super huge. They're really nice looking ones though. I'll get gold weight for them from the place. Again, I go to a place called Estate Jewelers. I have a video going there. They'll end up knocking these off for me free of charge, and they'll scrap them for me. So this is an easy one. Now, if they're careful too, these may come off without damaging the pen set. So I could theoretically still sell the pens undamaged, or maybe buff it up if I need to, just a hair with a buffing wheel that we have. But either way, there's a couple $100 worth of gold in these two. It's not just a tiny little bit. There's actually a good considerable amount of 14 karat yellow gold and white gold plus diamonds in these. Now, service awards, as I said, can be found in all sorts of things. Usually it's a tiny pin that was given out to the employee. They put it on their tie or on their shirt or on their collar or on their dress or blouse or whatever, you know, they have or they're wearing to their place of employment. I've found service awards for, geez, hundreds of different companies. They're not all gold. Some of them are silver. A large chunk of the longer ones, the older ones, are the ones that are gold. These are actually from a local health industrial business out here, and that's what they're from. It's a very well-known one. I believe it's national in the whole works too, but knowing these emblems is key as well. Now, many of the times these will be worth far more to scrap them than to list them on eBay because of eBay's fees they take out. Not that it's huge, 14% or better depending on what category you sell them in. Plus, people don't really want to pay for, you know, usually what it's worth in gold and stuff. So I usually do far better once fees are out and all that stuff by selling these as scrap. And again, if I can get those off without damaging the pen, again, I'll let the jeweler do that. They have a little torch. It's probably something that can be just melted off, blown off, and then buffed out real quick. So again, I can still get the 20 bucks these sell for, not $9.99, but I can usually get 20 bucks if you word it right and the whole works for just the pens as 14 karat gold filled without the service award attachments to them. Don't blow this off as, you know, nothing. I see people talking about the little gold nibs and things on pens, on fountain pens, like it's some huge ordeal. It's just the very edge of those nibs that are even gold, and they're really small amounts of gold. I've only found 1 or 2 fountain pens in my entire life at a thrift store, to be honest with you, and that's 35 plus years of going to thrift stores. And you know, those fountain pens didn't have gold nibs on them. Yeah, sure, it'd be great to find even something like that because it is scrap gold and it's worth more than you'll pay for it, just like earring backs. You'll find earring backs that are gold on earrings that are just junk. So I don't just worry about the earrings themselves. If you can find a bunch of backs, there's enough gold in those if they're 14 karat. I've even ran into 18 karat gold earring back for pierced earrings. So I mean, there's a lot of opportunities to still find gold. And again, these can be found at antique malls, marked exactly the same way. And again, why is somebody going to pass these by? Why is somebody going to pass these by and not pay attention to them and think that they're gold or not? Many people may even miss that these are on here. As I said, you may have missed that and just said it's a pen set and it's gold filled, so this guy doesn't know what the heck he's talking about. Well, again, look up service awards. Type in 14 karat. There's even some 18 karat. I worked at Disney for quite some time, 10 years, a decade at Disney. And the older employee awards were gold. Not only were a lot of the award pins gold, but they actually gave you a big actual genuine ruby. Not a small tiny one, but a ruby on some of the 5 and 10 year service pins at Disney. I've got a bunch of the service pins because I always nabbed those up when we lived in Florida because I knew that they were, you know, good as gold, many of them being gold as well. Now you also got to think that it's not just these newer items like this one here. I know this one's from the 60s or 70s or so, but old items, even from the Victorian era, you can run into things that were given away to people who worked for them, and employees and things like that. Service awards go far back. And the earlier service awards, they didn't have to put that it was gold on the actual items. So many times I can run into those sorts of things that are gold, even at a thrift store. Same goes for like sorority pins and membership pins in general. Sometimes the back pin that actually you'd use to mount that item, you know, onto a clothing or a tie or whatever, obliterates the marking on it. So you've got to pay close attention to stuff like that. We find gold, not all the time, but fairly often. And this is just another great example where I'm surely going to get several $100s out of the gold in this. It's a sizable piece. It's almost as thick as a nickel from the side of the one with the diamonds on it. So that's fairly hefty. And again, this is basically free money. A thrift store, antique mall, antique store, flea markets. Geez, anywhere you go, garage sales even. Look in those pen boxes. Great place to find some money. That's far more gold than any of the other pen accessories that I run into. It beats the nibs on all the fountain pens, and most people aren't looking for that. They're judging by the little tag that says 10 karat gold filled, that it's probably not worth more than the 10 bucks that the price is on it. So anyway, that's an insider secret. That's something that we've been buying for more than a decade ourselves and have made thousands and thousands of dollars selling items just like that because they're made out of gold and no one knew it. But that's it for today. Hopefully that gave you some ideas, some thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
What would you trade for a new 71 Superfast?
What would you trade for the supercharged rat rod?
What would you trade for this fabulous Formula One?
If you've got a used car,
Trade it in now and get a great deal on these Superfast racers.
They won't take your old wheels and trade for a Superfast. Yes, they will. No, they won't.
Yes, we will take your old wheels. Trade in any used or broken car and cut the price to 59 cents for a 71 Superfast.
Superfast by Matchbox.